All right, everybody, welcome back to my podcast. So the last 10 to 11 shows that I've done have been mainly around business, some around mindset. I had some stuff on like anxiety and depression, which is an absolute passion of mine. However, what I'd like to do for the next 10 to 11 shows is actually really start digging deep into health and nutrition and fitness, talking with all kinds of different people. So one of those is going to be Jesse. We're going to talk to him today about, he's a health coach. We'll get into also having some doctors and other health practitioners on the show. And so I'm excited to bring this all to you because it's been quite a journey for myself, learning about everything health and nutrition, not just getting ripped at the age of 47. Do I want to be ripped? Absolutely. Is that my highest priority? No. If I'm eating the right things, doing the right things, exercising the right way, that'll just happen. What I'm more interested in is really educating so many different people on health, and then getting to my maximum longevity, my health span. So with that being said, the topic today, and so this is where Jesse and I are going to jam on, is the dad bod wake up call, right? The 5 protocols every man must know. So we're going to get into the dad bod conversation. The dad bod isn't just a punchline, it's a pattern. One that leads to pills, problems, and passivity, right? And so what I want to do is I want to intro you, Jesse. I want you to just like, who are you? Where'd you come from? What are you up to these days? Like, how did you get into the health and nutrition side of just life?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me on and shooting the breeze. And we're going to bounce around for some fun stuff. I was able to look over some of the topics that we're going to hit on, and I'm excited about it. I'm Jesse. I am 39 years old. I do Herbalife Nutrition. That's my bread and butter. That's my business. That's my avenue to coach health and wellness through. Prior to Herbalife Nutrition, I was an executive with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I did the whole management trainee program on the way up to rental management and ran branches in multiple locations across multiple states, and all the corporate stuff you think about. Had the suit and tie and the company car and the fuel card. And before that, I worked in the automotive industry, another version of it. I was a car salesman, going through college, working my way through school. I was selling cars. And previous to that, I was in college for music. So my degree is actually in music business. And played football in college and did cheerleading in the off seasons, and kind of all the way through. And going back through that cycle, while I was selling cars, one of my managers mentioned staying in school or going back to school. And his advice was, pick a degree that you're going to enjoy learning, because you probably won't work it anyways. Pick a degree that you'll enjoy learning, and just go enjoy your college experience. So from that point, I picked music business because I thought, I don't know anything about music. Let me figure it out. And then from there, I was at school twice a day playing football for either 6 a.m. workouts or practice. I was in music theater. I was in choir, anything involving the program. I was there bell to bell. There was no time for a job. And I got my degree in music business. But then to his point, I haven't done anything professionally aside from a couple local gigs involving music. I went and sell cars, worked for Enterprise Rent-A-Car. And that's where, while I was with Enterprise, I discovered this thing called the Nutrition Club. And I went in and I had my first shake. It had marshmallows and chocolate chips, but it was under 220 calories, and ended up losing 38 pounds on the Herbalife products with the coaching that he was doing with me. And that sparked some interest for me. I saw that he was doing parking lot workouts a couple days a week in front of the store. He was 50 years old at the time, a former building contractor with very limited, I don't say social skills, but he was very quiet. And I just loved the opportunity that he had. And he was working less hours than me, making more than I was as a corporate guy with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. And I said, I'd like to do this. So a year after my first shake, I resigned from Enterprise Rent-A-Car, went full-time into this thing called Herbalife. I learned how to run his nutrition club in Arkansas, moved back to Wichita, where I was born and raised, and opened up Wichita Nutrition March of 2016. And so coming up in just a few months, we'll be celebrating our 10-year anniversary. So that's my journey, how I got into health and wellness coaching. Coaching is my favorite aspect of what we do. Yeah. As you know, like we have the nutrition clubs and we have challenges and we have fun events and all the things. For me, the one-on-one coaching stuff is, if I could do that all day, every day. That would be where I would put my time in, is this one-on-one interaction. So
Awesome. And you sent me over your before and after, so I popped it up here as you're talking. And topic's dad bod, and you definitely have some of that sexy dad bod thing happening in those
oh
in
yeah,
those top photos.
oh yes, and I got even a new one,
Oh boy.
because we got the new multi burn, which we're going to talk about. Our new, or
Yeah.
we might talk about, is this. There it is. So this is an even further transition.
Oh, good. Yes.
So going from like building a little bit of muscle to then leaning out again, showing the different
Yeah.
things you can do even at 39 years old, which we're going
Right.
to talk about some of those hormone changes and stuff. You go,
Yeah.
because the way I ate and the way I performed in my 20s is vastly different now in my late 30s. And it's going to be different in my late 40s. So I'm going
Right.
to rely on you for that too when we get there.
Right. Right. Yeah. It is amazing that when we start pairing the good nutrition with the right physical activity, at our even at like our current age, like the amount of books and podcasts and seminars that I've attended to listen to, how to pair those things up, and a lot of it has to go to, and people like the general public, they're like, well, I'll go also to listen to YouTube, and I'll go read articles, I'll ask ChatGPT, and those are all great resources. What I find is that people get overwhelmed with information, and then they don't do anything. Because I have people ask me all the time, well, should I do keto? Should I do what is it, like carb cycling? Should I do the paleo? Should I be vegetarian? Should I do the Mediterranean? Should I do the dirt diet? Should I eat grass? Like all these
Mm-hmm.
things. And I'm always telling people, I'm like, well, what are your goals? What should we do? Are you looking for longevity? Are you looking for something that's sustainable? Or are you just looking for a diet? And I'm always very upfront with everybody. I'm like, I don't work with people that are just looking for a diet. If you're trying to lose 30 pounds in 30 days for a wedding, I'm probably not the best situation for me. Jesse can, how he wants to work with people is great for him. But I have worked with so many people over the last 14 years that were on a just trying to starve themselves, to deplete themselves and bang themselves at the gym. But then as soon as they get done with whatever they're doing, whether it was a cruise or whether it was a wedding or whatever, they end up putting the weight right back on.
Yeah.
Right. So it was an effort and futility. And even that has health consequences, when people are doing the yo-yo dieting.
One, the issue with, going into that is the lifestyle change that it takes to keep this thing proactive, prolonged. And you mentioned like the several different diet or plans or fads or trends that are out there. And I think we're beyond the information age. We're in the overly informed information age, and where
Yes.
I read a book and it said if I ate A, B, and C, I'm going to live forever. And then the next time I turned on, I was scrolled through a reel. It said if I eat that same A, B, and C, I'm going to die tomorrow. And
Right.
like some reel told me I was drinking water wrong the other day. And it's like, so that we are overly informed with people either just stating all the opinions they have that they maybe got on Wikipedia, or maybe they're creating clickbait or some kind of viral topic by saying you're drinking water wrong. But there are people that would hear that and just get deflated, like, I'm doing that wrong again too. So it makes you not even want to try,
Right.
because everything you try, the toil is the effort it takes when the result doesn't come.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to put up with the toil and not get the result. We've all been
Right.
We've all done it.
Right. Yeah. And I'll go back to like a coach, right? You're going to be somebody, I'm going to be somebody that walks along beside somebody, holding them accountable. And I tell people this all the time. Like, if you're coming to me looking for coaching, let me explain to you what that means. Is
Right.
it means I'm not going to be nice, but I'm going to be kind. And I heard this phrase one time is nice stands for nothing inside me cares enough.
Mm.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I really like that phrase, because there's so many people that are worried about hurting people's feelings. And I say, I don't hurt people's feelings. People decide to let their feelings be hurt. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? It's kind of like being
Yeah.
offended. I don't offend people. People just decide to be offended because it's a
Yep.
personal choice. Right.
I'm going to write that down. I may not be nice, but I will always be kind.
I'll be kind. I love you. I always tell people this, like, if you're watching a blind man and the blind man is walking towards a cliff, I really don't want to offend, or I don't want to make them angry, and I don't want to scare them. And so I don't go over and approach them because I don't want to scare them. The blind man walks off the cliff. Whose fault is it? Is it the blind man or the person that watched them just walk off the cliff?
Mm.
If I'm kind, you better believe I'm going to be at a dead sprint to tackle that person right before they're stepping off the cliff to make sure they don't head that direction, right? And so my actions from a coach's perspective helps people in their blind spots make decisions that aren't the best decisions for them, even if it causes some temporary or long uncomfortableness.
Yep. That you just mentioned the word uncomfortable. That's actually part two of my mission. Like why I do what I do is part one is to help people realize what they can actually accomplish. And then part two is to make them as uncomfortable as I can so they go do it.
Yeah.
Nothing gets done in the place of comfort. You don't want to leave the bed first thing in the morning when it's at its softest and the sheets are warm, but you're also not sweating. And you got to find some way to make yourself uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I'm going to read, let's see, 1, 2. I've got these notes because of my mind and my brain. Like I'll chase all kinds of rabbits and I like doing that, but I also like making sure I hit some things.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's like 10 things I'm going to read off. Okay. And then I want to go back through them slowly and like say, what are your thoughts? And you may say, like whatever, like we'll just discuss it. All right. So here we go. These are startling statistics and truth bombs. Okay. All right. 43% of American men over 40 are on at least 2 medications, most for preventable lifestyle diseases. Visceral fat doesn't just sit on your belly. It wraps around your organs, crushing testosterone, slowing metabolism, and shortening your lifespan. The average dad gains 1 to 2 pounds per year after 30. That's 20 plus pounds by midlife, and most of it is hidden, dangerous fat. Low energy, poor sleep, brain fog, and lost libido are not just stress. They are signals that your body is breaking down. A man with a 40 plus inch waist is 5 times more likely to develop type 2 diabetes. 74% of men over 20 are either overweight or obese. 42% obese, but dad bod tends to fall more in the overweight to mildly obese. By the age of 40, 25 to 30% of men have clinically low testosterone. By 50, over 40% of men have low T symptoms, weight gain, fatigue, low drive, reduced muscle, and mood swings. So, conservatively, 40 to 50% of men fall into the classic dad bod visual range.
Yes. I've both lived it and seen it, as we can see by my before photo. And that was not 28. That before photo. No, that before photo. My gosh, that before photo. I think it was only 38. Like that was 38. Yeah. My before photo at the very beginning, I was 28. But that last one that was up there was 38.
Yeah, I'm going to show you. I'll show you something. I don't know if you've seen this. I'm going to show you this screen, and there's mine. Can you see mine?
Yeah.
So the top left, that was 45 pounds overweight. And I don't know, maybe that was like the age 32, 33 years old. Mm-hmm. And I was in a ridiculous amount of pain. I had 3 bulging discs. I had 1 a herniated disc. I couldn't play with my kids. I had three kids under 3 about that time. And then I went and got in best shape of my life. And this is this summer, like when we were on that cruise together. Mm-hmm. So at the age of 47, like I'm still in the best shape that I can possibly be in. But when you talk about dad bod, like I've been there. And sometimes, and I know you've made some changes like very recently, mm-hmm. right? Getting back into it. But my changes came a couple years ago. Yeah. Right. When I say a couple, like 14 years ago. Right. And I'm like, I'm never going to feel like that again. Yeah. And so that's where I've just stayed. And I'm always pursuing some kind of other kind of athletic endeavor because I have athletic ADD. And so I have to be constantly switching stuff up.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a bad thing to have. Give yourself something to shoot for all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think all those facts are just interesting to know. Like a lot of them are eyebrow raises, and people don't know the term visceral fat versus subcutaneous that often. And I do this and I say sub-Q is squeezy. If you can squeeze it, it's probably sub-Q. And if you can't, it's visceral. And the visceral, it says on there, crushes your organs. It slows testosterone, or lowers testosterone, slows your metabolism. it releases toxins into your body, and they're slowing things down. And this is what we call like you skinny fat, like you're slender, but the fat is in those viscerals. And I'll have people stand up and poke their beer belly. And I'm
Yeah.
like, is that beer belly pretty hard? Yeah, it's hard. It's just big. And I'm like, because you have an accumulation of visceral fats around your
Oh
organs,
yeah. Dangerous.
pushing those muscles out.
Yeah.
If you pushed it and it was squishy, that'd be subcutaneous. That's a different kind of plan altogether. And
Right.
knowing those differences helps you. We can't really target fat. Some of the products in Herbalife absolutely can now, but
Yes.
you can target what kind of fat you're going after by your nutrition and your fitness program.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really good to discern when somebody's setting those goals. That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. It is huge. And I like what you said about we've got to do targeted work. It's not, and then when I say targeted, it's like people like, well, I'm going to lose my belly, so I'm going to do a bunch of sit-ups. That's not what I mean by targeted.
No.
Right? We got to do targeted nutrition work in order to get the results that we desire. And I say that we desire, but the issue becomes, what I find is that it's become such a joke in society. I mean, when I talk to some other guys about it, just kind of out in the community, and they bring up, oh yeah, you're one of those health guys, like just because of whatever, they just know me, they see me on social media or whatever. They're like, oh, you're one of those health guys, so you probably aren't going to eat these fried pickles or something. I'm like, no, I'm good. They're like, you know what? And they like hit their belly and they're like, yeah, somebody's got to eat these, and you got to die from something. And I'm like, what even frustrates me more is when guys joke around about that, is when they have kids. And I'm like, you are literally saying, because I think there's a stat somewhere in my notes, but I think there was a stat that said something like, not if you have dad bod, you have a probability of living 20 years less than people that don't.
Yeah. And the
So it
example
takes
you're
20
setting is
years
one
off your life.
thing. Yeah.
And you want to see your kids get married. Like Ed Milet said, he went to the doctor one time, and the doctor came in, and the guy asks him this question. He goes, who do you want to see walk your daughter down the aisle? And Ed, his kid was little. Ed's kid was little. He's like, I don't understand the question. Well, according to these numbers right here, you're going to die and you won't be available. So you better start figuring out who's going to be your stand-in. And that's the reality of it.
That's the being kind, not nice aspect
That's
right
right.
there. Like his job as your physician, your doctor, isn't to tell you what you want to hear, to tell you what you need to hear. It's what you
Right.
pay him for. That's what you have insurance for. Like, let the man cook. It's up
Right.
to you whether you want to eat it or not. Literally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's important. The discipline comes into play, the motivation, all that fun stuff. It's like that's the part to think about of not how I'm going to look today or how I'm going to feel today, but I get 15 to 20 more years on average if I change these lifestyle habits.
Right.
Statistically speaking, even in sales, when we're doing our numbers, sometimes you have to play the numbers, make up in numbers what you lack in skill. The same thing goes for your healthy, active lifestyle. It's if the numbers say statistically, and there's enough billions of population to do this with a large enough scale, that by not having a dad bod, you can expand your natural lifespan by 15 to 20 years.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you play those odds?
Right.
Like,
Yes. But you're absolutely correct. And you and I are thinking it's a no-brainer.
yeah,
However, society doesn't program people that way.
they don't.
Right.
They put up on the reels the dad bods and said most women actually prefer a dad bod. They think it's sexy and it gives these guys, and it may be true. Women may enjoy seeing the dad bod. There may be something that says, I want him to be a 7 if I'm an 8, or a 6 if I'm whatever their thought. I want him to be less so they feel more comfortable about themselves.
Yeah.
But his lifespan shouldn't be shortened because you're insecure, and vice versa. If the
Yeah.
guy wants a mom bod, I don't know. Don't put that on her, because don't you want her to last 15 to 20 more years as well? Like, what's that look
Yeah.
like? And women have more frequent heart attacks than men ever do. We just hear
Yeah.
about it from men more often because women's heart attacks aren't usually the chest clutching end of days. My mom's mom, my grandmother, she passed of a heart attack, of heart failure. And then when they looked at everything, she had markers of a dozen heart attacks that led up to this one before
Oh,
she went
wow.
to the doctor. None of them were like grabbing your arm or just little heart attacks on up until I think she passed at like 55.
Oh, wow.
Really young, right?
Yeah.
So it's like women deserve it as well as men do. I know our topic right now is men, but it's been idolized, this dad bod. They joke about it. This is peak peak male physical form right here when it's a guy with a beer belly that can still do a backflip. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but it'd be easier if he was about 45 pounds lighter and had some core strength.
Yeah.
He might still tear his Achilles
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he's over 40. But
That's right.
yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting too. I try to keep my hat down low. I'm at the gym, keep my earbuds in, and try not to pay attention to anybody. But I see some dudes in there that are super strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just listening to some docs in this course I was taking, and they were talking about strong dude. And strong dude is strong, but still has part of dad bod. So they are strong. They've got big shoulders, they've got big traps, big biceps, and they look healthy, but their visceral fat is like off the chart, and their abdominal fat is off the chart. So I've heard people say throughout the years, like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that guy died. He was a pillar of health." And I'm like, and from my perspective, I'm like, no, he was not. He was not a pillar of health. But that's what we've been trained to think throughout the years, is because somebody can lift a lot of weight, they could deadlift 600 pounds, or they have big arms or whatever it may be, or a big chest, that they're not unhealthy. But that's not all the symptoms of good health, which is, you and I just went to this conference, coaching conference in Dallas a couple weekends ago. And oh my gosh, I'm so jacked up about where we're going as a company with the science that is clinically based, with botanicals, like all the things, the intracell things that we're working on, because we can now say, listen, I understand we can lose some of the weight and we can do this, but not only can we help lose weight, but now we have assets. Like you mentioned, the multi-burn, which is like the botanical blends that's clinically, scientifically proven to do like a number of things. But then you also have like what was launched, which is the NAD plus precursor, which I think they officially came out with a name, I think, called Baseline.
Okay.
And so now they have Baseline, which actually works on the cellular regeneration of the cell. So now you've got something working this way, and you've got something working this way. So we're working outside in and inside out at the same time.
And I think people undervalue, as we get into those, we're going to launch them. People outside undervalue this, unaware, because you don't know what you don't know. But like you talk about the regeneration of a cell, and I can imagine I've got a sponge or balloon. My balloon has been aired up. Have you ever seen a balloon that's just been full for way too long and it starts to get wrinkly like a raisin and just
Oh
gets
yeah,
forward?
right.
This is what I feel like our cells are doing, and what this baseline is intended to do. This baseline product is, if you start taking it early enough, it keeps your balloon full and more wrinkle free for longer. And if your balloon has gotten some wrinkles and it's shrunk, aka you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, when those things are breaking down, it helps re-inflate your balloon to kind of
That's
reverse the
right.
process. So
Yeah,
they had said that the first person to live to 150 years old has already been born.
that's me.
As you, I don't know what that's going to be, but with the advancements that we're going to make in the next decade, I don't doubt it. And it's like,
Right.
would you like to you'd be tripling your lifespan? That's crazy.
Right. It is. It is. It's crazy and it's exciting. And because when Evie and I joke around, and when I was talking to her, I'm like, dude, I'm living until like 120 or 130. She's like, why? Like, I don't want to be around that long. I said, that's only because you think of it as the traditional person aging, is that I won't be able to do much. I said, I'm hiking mountains. And like the guy that you and I like to listen to, Jim Rohn, he's like, you will not find me sliding down of the backside of the last mountain. You'll find me climbing the next one. Right. That's me. Like, you're going to find me climbing the next mountain when I'm gone.
Yep.
I'll be gone climbing. I'm not going down on my butt sliding down.
Here's a question: what's your opinion on? Is there one that's more important to assess or attack, visceral fats or subcutaneous, or do you feel like you need to be one? If somebody's got visceral fats under a 5 when we measure it, and that's a 4, but their sub-Q is a little higher, which rarely happens. That's one that's visceral is low and sub-Q is high. But if that were the case, if somebody's like, you know what, I'm good being 25 or 30% body fat, but my viscerals are 4, versus, my viscerals are at 11 or 12, but my sub-Q, I'm down to about 15.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are your thoughts on which one to attack first or simultaneously?
Sure. I do not attack either first. I go after behavior modification.
Okay.
So the body will heal itself eating the right things and doing the right activity. Are they
Becoming
sleeping
healthy.
enough? Do what?
Becoming healthy.
Yeah, becoming healthy. So we always tell people, like, a lot of times with ladies, we are always like, it's not about losing weight, it's about right sizing. Your
Yeah.
body will become as it should when we fuel it and do the right physical activities. It will end up being where it needs to be. And that's,
I,
again,
ideal size. Yeah.
yeah, and that's the coach. They're like, a coach is like the bumpers at a bowling alley, keeping the ball heading down the lane to get to the desired goal, right?
Yeah.
And so when somebody says, whether they have visceral or whether they have the squeezy fat, um, I'm going to recommend the same thing. I'm going to be like, okay, how much are we sleeping? Tell me about how much water you're getting in. Tell me about your physical activity. Let's talk about your protein factor. Let's talk about the amount of calories that you're getting in. And what we're going to do is we're going to focus on these things over the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll pull back. We'll say where are we at, and then we'll make adjustments based upon what's happening.
I love the approach, and that's kind of the turn that Herbalife has been trying to take is lifestyle first, then supplementation, last resort medication. And I think
Right.
with, you mentioned like how much are you sleeping? Are you getting water? In the new protocol app for baseline, it says, are you getting 15 to 20 minutes of direct sunlight in the first 30 minutes of the day? Are you having a good conversation with a trusted friend? Have you journaled? When's the last time you sweat? Like, are you getting in some heat source a little bit? None of that involves spending money on a product. It's like, let's fix
Right.
the behaviors. And then supplementation is necessary. We've got to have it. There's not enough nutrients in our food. We have to have supplementation. And then, if the timing arrives, there is a time and place for medication. Obviously, it wouldn't have been created. There are sick people.
Right.
The vast majority of those that we're talking about are sick by choice, by allowance.
Absolutely. You just gave me goosebumps. I was thinking there's something somewhere and something I read and all this research stuff. But it said that most of the disease that's caused from dad bod are actually choosable changes,
Yep.
but they're not. And again, I think it's, there's some of my notes are like identity shift, a belief shift. And so I wrote down comfort over discipline.
Yeah.
And so some of the things that you need to make changes on are tough, like getting up and going to the gym at 4 or 5, whatever in the morning. That's uncomfortable, right? So I would rather sleep. And people like, I'm not a morning person. And I'm like, that's because you're going to bed at 12 or 1. You're watching Netflix for 5 hours,
And the fact, you talk about belief, the fact that you declared it, my response is, if you say so.
Yeah.
If you say I'm not okay, what's a morning person?
Yes.
Gets up I don't know. It's just easier. No, it's, what you just said. You just said a thing, and it hit me with it. Comfort over discipline. In order to build a muscle, what do you have to do?
You have to work it.
You have to tear it down, right? You have to rip it. You have to shred it. Why is that any different from your development or your discipline or your mindset, your belief?
Right.
I think you have to tear it down in order to build it, make it stronger.
That's right.
You have to break down the old beliefs to build the new ones. You have to terrorize those comfortable habits to create a new one. And for me, it's rituals. It's putting non-negotiables in place. I tell people I'm not a snoozer. I broke my snoozing pattern back in 2010 on the alarm. One, because I'm concerned about the other people in the bed, not wanting to wake them up.
Right.
And so how I broke it was that consciousness of I don't want to disturb them as much as I can. Second, how I did it was when I set an alarm, that alarm is set. If I stay in bed and be cozy for like 30 seconds, I'm already behind on my timing. Yep. I know how long it takes me to brush my teeth and shave my face and put on deodorant and do my hair. It's like, okay, if I lay in bed too long, I'm late.
Right.
So when I hear that alarm, I'm up.
Right.
And I don't set 7 alarms. I set 1, and it's my last minute. What if you sleep through it? I'm not going to sleep through it.
Right.
And if I do, my body obviously needed it. I'll make up for it. But since 2010, that hasn't happened. I'm more likely to forget to set my alarm than I am to not hear my alarm.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm guilty. I mean, I think it's happened like once in the last 3 years that I forgot to set it. Mm-hmm. But what's great about getting up at the same time every day is that you end up waking up with it. Even if whether you wake up before or you wake up after, you're usually within 5 to 10 minutes without setting the alarm because your body is biomechanically programmed to get up. And for me, it's like, I gotta go to the bathroom.
Yep. 3 a.m. bathroom time, 4:50 wake up time every day.
Yeah.
I wish it would just wait an hour and 50 minutes to go to the bathroom because it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
It doesn't. 3 a.m. and
But it
4.
doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's other things that like people have to make and I've talked about this, like justification. I didn't call it justification, but that's what it is, where it's the new normal. So I hear this from people frequently is that, well, we just gain weight because our metabolism slows down. And then I always say, well, your metabolism slows down because you become inactive. Like we are not programmed to sit at desks for 8, 9, 10 hours. And I heard Tony Robbins say it this way, which cracked me up. He said, you sleep in a box, then you wake up, then you sit down in a box and you eat your breakfast. Then you get into a box and drive to the box, and then you sit in a box for 8 hours. Then you get back in your box, you drive home, which is a box, and then you sit on your couch and watch a box, and then you go back and lay down in a box.
Yep. All day.
All day, every day. And so
Day.
people are like, well, my metabolism slowed down. I'm like, no, it did not slow down. You slowed down.
They slowed down, and then their mindset shifted. One of my best friends is 56 years old, and I said, hey, you want to go to the gym today? And he was like, oh, no, I played basketball with some friends earlier, and I need to rest. And I stopped, and he's overweight. And one of my best friends, I'm in nutrition, he won't. He's overweight, right? He just won't change his habits. But I looked at him, and I was like, man, I bet when you were 17, you'd never said, no, I can't do more because I just did a thing. We'd have woke up in the morning, rode bikes. We'd have went to the pool. We went and played flag football. We'd go play hide and go seek. We'd probably jump back in the pool all day long. And we wondered, our metabolism was so high, I could eat whatever I want as a kid because you weren't sitting in front of the TV complaining that you did basketball earlier. You can't move again.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's that mindset shift of why are we limiting ourselves to one 45-minute activity 3 to 5 days a week?
Yeah.
And that's the majority of people. If they get in 3 days, by the way, you're ahead of the curve. You're the top 10% in the world if you're getting in 3 workouts a week.
Yeah.
And that's still nothing compared to a kid who doesn't have a job. And we understand, like you have a family, you're 47, 39, newly married. Like we don't have the same time to play sports all day long.
Right.
But we got enough energy to do more than one physical activity.
Right. Yeah. Physical activity is so good too for overall health. Whether it's mobility, flexibility, and just movement in general is super important. I see people that they start to move around a little bit, they get sore, then they stop. Well, then they move around a little bit, they get sore and they stop, so it's this constant, and they never not get sore because they never continue to create that movement. And that's that. I don't know, man. It frustrates me when I see so much potential in just people's health and the family they're trying to create with their husband or wife, and the energy that they don't have, and usually leads to a lot of insecurity, anxiety, depression.
Yeah.
I see guys that, and I heard this the other day, is when you look at older men, they have little butts. Right. The reason why they have little butts is because our society has become more of a sit down society than anything else. Well, your glutes are one of your powerhouses of your body. And so when you turn those off and you just have some hamstrings, that's what ends up causing low back pain. So like you'll have guys with dad bod say, well, I can't go do this or that or this or that because I have a bad back. Well, your bad back is caused by your level of inactivity, your level of strengthening, your level of flexibility and mobility. Mm-hmm. So you're actually causing the problem that you say that you don't want to have, but you're the cause of it. Again, we go back to like, we are empowered to make these choices of change, but we just get suckered into like passive acceptance. This is just the way it is. We got to die of something. And then there's been like this masculine identity shift again, where we all think it's funny that people are inside dad bod or overweight. And, it's a joke. I don't know. For me, it's not a joke. Like I care about people, and I don't, doesn't mean that I don't. I had somebody ask me this a long time ago. They said, so do you look down upon people that are overweight? And I said, absolutely not. I said, those, like, in reality, what I feel like I am is a life preserver. I'm here to find them and serve them at my greatest capacity. I do not judge them and see them as less than. Yep. I see them as somebody that I can serve to my greatest capacity.
I'm so glad you said that, because with that, it can come across that way if you stay fit, you have the lifestyle you have for 14 years. Like, you live it. I've been around you at several vacations. You're always in peak shred. And You've even put on there, I let myself enjoy some sweets and some vacation time. It's time to get back in. And within a matter
Yeah.
of weeks, like you're back in your form. And when we see people that are overweight or obese or whatever, for me, I use the term disappointment. I'm not disappointed at them. I'm disappointed at the thought of what could be.
Yeah. Potential.
Potential. I'm like, if only they could see what I see in them. They could have such a different lifestyle, such a happier disposition, just pain free. They could lose 10 bowling balls around their body. And
Yeah.
so when I'm disappointed at what could have been. It's their responsibility, but what part of that can we hold as a community member? It's like it takes a village. So like
Right.
I'm going to do my part, and my part is trying to live the example the best I can to
Right.
show what's possible. And one of the
Right.
reasons I opened up my store, Wichita Nutrition, was because I said, how do I keep my results? And I said, what's the best way than to be forced to be in front of my customers every single day?
Yeah.
And they get to see me over the last 10 years balloon out and come back based on injury or whatever. But like that was my accountability, was my customer base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Why do you believe it's so hard for men to admit there's something off?
I think it's a couple things. One, it's ego. Like men don't admit anything. Like we're good. We got it. Number two, we're trained that way. I believe that males, we are trained that it doesn't matter. Just go back to work. You feel a little achy? Go to work. You have a
Right.
family. Be a man. Be a man. Step up. Take care of your stuff. And most of it, I go back to the testosterone thing, like with these mindsets that I'm going to focus in on men because I'm not excluding women. There are women that are going to have a masculine mindset. There's hormones with everything. I'm going to focus in on men because this is something that I personally went through, and I've got several of my male clients going through. And when I've dug deep, because sometimes where they're psychologists, right? We talk to them where they're like they're bartenders,
Oh, absolutely.
they're hairstylists, whatever. Low testosterone, sure. Low motivation, sure. Exhausted, stressed, dad bod, achy joints. All of those are the side effects of the main issue. And in my personal experience, what I ran into 4 years ago, 5 years ago, um, I thought it was low testosterone. Had my numbers checked, and it was low. However, it wasn't low enough to cause the side effects that I was having. So
Mm.
when I did some digging, talked to a therapist, which I think is important to do if you have no other options, right? Go talk to somebody. And as men, we're trained not to talk to people. So you talk to a
Right.
stranger who's not going to tell
Right.
anybody. What I found is, for me and for the ones that I've spoken with, the main key has been hopelessness. And they're hopeless in an area that has nothing to do with their abs, nothing to
Mm-hmm.
do with their strength, with their
Mm.
cardio. Maybe they're
Yeah.
in a dead end job and they feel like they can't get out because they owe it to their family to be a provider.
Yeah.
Maybe they feel like they're stuck in this relationship and they can't get out because they don't want to hurt somebody, or it's going to be cheaper to keep her. It's going to be too expensive to leave and cause way more drama for the kids, and there's no way out. So they're in this defeated mindset, and that defeated mindset of there's nowhere to go. We can run into that in our businesses, in our nutrition clubs, in our growing our teams.
Right.
It's like, what's the point if it all leads back to where we're at today, which is maybe it's not a great moment for whoever it is. That hopelessness is when you lose sight, you stop setting goals, you stop creating something for the future. Like that to me is where it comes from,
Mm-hmm.
and why it's so hard for men specifically to admit something's off is ego. We're trained just to get over it and go to work because nobody cares if we're hopeless. Go do your job. You have a
Mm-hmm.
wife, you have kids.
Mm-hmm.
People don't give a crap.
Yeah.
And they say they do, but they don't. And I don't mean that in the most disrespectful way. I get it. There's a lot of things that are going on in people's worlds that I don't give a crap about because I've got my own world I live in. I get it. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a term called the ick. Have you heard this?
It seems familiar, but you're definitely gonna have to bring me
It,
back up to speed on it.
being 39, it's a new jargon term or something that I've seen, and it's in terms of like when you give your girlfriend the ick or your wife the ick, and it's when all of a sudden they don't know why, but they're just not as attracted to you as they used to be. And we're talking about, hey, you got the dad bod, so you're not as attractive to your wife, and so although they love the dad bod, for some reason the sex life in your marriage is down, or the sex life in your long relationship is down,
Yeah.
and the ick comes to play. And it was because all of a sudden, at one point, that masculine man who was a leader in that relationship had a moment of vulnerability with his person who he's supposed to be protecting and serving and supporting. And he had a moment where he needed protected and supported. And she did her job, because she's supposed to, but that led to the ick. Something in her said, for some reason, I trust that he can be as powerful as I thought he was because I had to support him.
Yeah.
Ergo, something about me, my femininity, isn't quite as attracted as it used to be because he has more feminine energy than he did before because he was actually vulnerable with you. And there are some that might be into that if they've done development and they understand the spirituality. But for most men and their significant others are too busy with work and the kids to do that work. And so that leads to the ick of, I'm not really sure, I just haven't been in the mood lately. But in the beginning of the relationship, when you had the chops and you had the passion and you were rambunctious with your boys and you went and did fun things and she couldn't keep your hands off you.
Right.
Something clicked and it was just the ick. And that's where subconsciously, I believe, men are afraid to get. If I'm too open too soon, I'm going to give her the ick. She won't see me as the man that I am.
Yeah.
Or the man that I can be, because now she has to protect. She no longer trusts that you can support and provide like you used to because you're sad for a day.
Yeah.
Right. So we're allowed to share, but we can't share everything. And I think that's important to understand. And I don't mean it's a bad way. Tell Mrs. Blanco as much as you possibly can. But I think you've realized in your years of marriage, there's probably a line you can't go too far on explaining because she just won't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. That's her nature. If that makes any sense. So that's why I think men don't express enough. Why they don't express it to a stranger like a therapist, that goes back to the ego part. But, yeah.
Insecurity. Yeah. Insecurity drives fear. And I've shared this with people is a lot of people are actually insecure. They don't realize it because it shows up in pride, arrogance, and ego.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But there's a book called Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. And he actually goes into that. He said the reason why people show signs of pride, arrogance, and ego is because they actually are protecting a level of insecurity. Right. So, he's coming from a compassion standpoint, too, is like somebody may come across as a jerk or whatever but just understand they're protecting an insecurity or several insecurities of whatever it is going on in their life.
Yeah.
And when you're able to, and you hit something about, here's what I heard you say, and I like talking about this, is essentially talked about clarity and a clear and compelling vision for your future, and then what you'll set your standards for, and that's all centered around like people. I did this research project. 86% of people either hate or dislike their jobs, and if they hate or dislike their jobs, it leads to anxiety and depression. This anxiety and depression leads to a lack of motivation. The lack of motivation leads to me not want to make healthy choices. The lack of healthy choices leads to these different problems and diseases inside our dad bods. The dad bod then we end up having to go get medicated for these things. The medication causes more symptoms in which we have to medicate again. It's so then I go back into hating so then you look at the circle. So I go back into hating my job even more, which keeps this disease death cycle, right? And it doesn't have to be physical death, but spiritual death, emotional death, family death, availability death, that these guys are suffering a quiet suffering that they don't have to. Right. And if guys like me and you and a lot of other of the health coaches out there or functional medicine docs or whoever they are, when we can start to empower people with a new mindset of what true health is and look at the protocols to get to what's your VO2 max? What are your blood levels? What's your testosterone? What is your blah, blah, blah with your levels? How much of an impact can you make, not just in your own life with more excitement and energy, but also making an impact in your wife's life and your kids' lives and your professional life and whatever you're trying to accomplish.
Yep. Oh, yeah. It's a huge possibility that leading with and you talk about your point, your stair step down, if they would have done the work to go back to figure out what was the catalyst, causation versus correlation, like all these things correlate, but the cause goes back to I'm dissatisfied with my job. Go further. Okay, when did you accept the job? Why did you accept that job? Like, what's keeping you there? The fear of starting over, the fear of being broke, the fear of loss. What if? Cool. That's the starting point, is the fear of loss.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but instead, we're masking it. Let me go to the doctor because something's got to be off medically. Because I accept this job. I should love it. I don't know why I don't love it. It's got to be my testosterone. I've got
Right.
to love it. It's got to be my blood work's off. I've got to have cancer because I hate my job.
Yeah.
No, 86% of people jobs just suck. You're not meant to do that thing.
Right.
There are other things out there that are also hard, that are also going to be frustrating, but you might have hope back in your life and
Yes.
some joy.
Yeah. That's a whole different podcast as far as talk. I get into all these conversations like when I have the opportunity to travel and speak and stuff, and I talk about what it's hope and clear and compelling vision. Because if you have clear, compelling vision for what you want to create, then you have hope around that thing, which causes. And I don't know if you've ever heard. Have you ever heard the story of Peep Over the Pail? Have you ever heard that?
Nope.
Okay, so I listened to this cassette a long time ago, and it was Peep
For
Over the
those
Pail,
watching,
and
a cassette is a little plastic piece. It's got two holes and it's got a mini film in one side and it rolls to the other in a tape
yes,
player. Also, tape is what it's known as. Tape.
yes, yes. And so there's a study. You can Google this. It's a real thing. So there was a study where they took these mice. Now, for everybody that's part of PETA and everything, this was a study that was done in like 40s or 50s or something. And so they took these mice and they put them in a bucket of water. And then they would let the mouse tread water and they would see how long these mice would tread water until they drowned.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so what they did with this one mouse is instead of waiting for it to drown after whatever time it was, that they would pick the mouse up out of the water and they would let its little fingers do this right over the top, and then they would stick it back in the water. And the mouse that got to peep over the pail, I think they went like days, where it was like 15 minutes. The other mice would sink to the bottom. This one was like days. It would tread water as long as it got a peep over the pail, like every certain time increment. And so what we have people is they need that peep over the pail. They need that hope. They need that clear and compelling vision, for their lives. And it's going to be amazing. But what they do is they get into talking about, well, I have to have this job. Right. I have to have this job to make the money. I'm like, no, you don't. That's a choice. They're like, well, then I can't pay my bills. I said, no, because you're outspending your clarity. Now, and I don't even, this isn't the purpose of this call, but that's a whole different call when we talk about clarity and purposeful life and how to know your strengths and how those fit in for what you should be doing and serving your purpose and like all those other things. But what Jesse and I are saying is all those other things impact your dad bod.
Yes.
Right. Because Jesse said this. So like he said hope, and then it has like 18 different things that we could go down. Mm-hmm. Right. But he said hope. So let's summarize hope of what those other 18 things are. Well, if we lack that motivation and hope, then we start doing things like medicating. When I say medicating, it could be porn. It could be Netflix. It could be alcohol. It could be, in some states, it could be weed. It could be whatever it is. And what that does is it quiets our inner spirit for adventure and change and pursuit, and makes it so we become docile, right? Because we feel better when we're docile, and we don't really feel better. We're just muting the pain instead of moving forward with passion.
Yep. Avoidance. Key.
Absolutely.
Right there.
Yeah. Yeah, and some of the consequences, and people don't realize this. I mean, we've already talked about this. You shared this, like the loss of attraction, what I've never heard, like ick factor. That's kind of what that is. Energy drops, passive presence. Oh man, I've seen that in a lot of dads. Is like, I mean, I don't get into people's lives again. There is no judgment. I'm just stating observation. Where I've been around other dudes that are with their wives, and like they might make a comment. This one guy made a comment one time. They're like, it's great. Like my kid will just go play in the corner, and they won't even bother me while I'm trying to watch TV. I'm like, please, please, please stop talking that way. I mean, I don't say that to him, but that's my mind. I'm doing like one of these smiles. I'm like,
yeah. But people grew up that way. I did. Like we're a TV family. When I was growing up as a kid, we had Roseanne and the Oprah Winfrey Show and Tool Time and Seinfeld, and we had all these shows growing up. And Mom would get home, And by 4:30, she had a Milwaukee's Best opened up, drinking Milwaukee's Best, smoking cigarettes, watching TV until 10 p.m. And that was my thing. Come in for dinner while I was outside playing. Come in for dinner, watch a couple shows with mom, go to bed by 9 o'clock, bedtime.
Yeah.
And dad was the same way. He's in the chair, watching TV, drinking the Coors, falling asleep. So
Yep.
it was our night. We go to the lake a few times during the summer. That was good. But 90% of our days was after 4:30 to 10 was spent doing that. And maybe it's because as parents, when they're raising kids, we are their priority. So they free up their evenings in case we need something. And so for them, it's self-medicating. The alcohol is a depressant. It helps them sleep, and the TV shows and alcohol gives them something to do while waiting to see if we need them in some fashion.
Yeah.
So they just don't know what they don't know.
No, and that's why I always tell people, like, there is no judgment.
Yeah.
It's just it's like blaming, again, go back to the blind man analogy. Like, I can't blame a blind man for not seeing the thing.
Yeah.
Like, that makes me it just makes me a jerk. Right? Like, I'm not gonna judge people for things they don't see.
Yeah.
But once they enter a period of awareness, I still won't judge them. Like, that's their life. It used to be like this, Jesse. Like, when we were young, when Evie and I were young marrieds with young kids, and then we read these books like Toddler Wise, Baby Wise, and we followed these freaking books. And people used to be like, "Oh man, it's so lucky that you guys have your kids on a pattern." But Evie and I were very disciplined in training these kids by following these methods, and so they worked. Then when I would be around other people with kids and they were just absolutely atrocious, like behavior, just all kinds of things. And I'd be like, they should do this and they should do that and they should do this. And then I had this realization one time, Jesse, I'm like, they're not my kid and I don't even hang out with them.
Yeah.
Like, what does it matter to me if they want to live that crazy life with their kid? That's on them. They didn't ask for parent coaching.
Yep.
Right. So if they want to live that crazy life, that's on them. Doesn't make them bad people. It just makes them, they didn't read the books that I read. They didn't listen to the things. They didn't go to the courses. Yep. Why would they know the things that I know? They don't.
Yep. And if they asked, you'd happily share.
Yes.
People don't want to ask because oftentimes the people who need the advice won't accept it anyways.
Yeah, that's right. Right. Yeah. And then you talked about fatherhood too. I mean, we just kind of went through that. Less play. Yeah. Models more complacency, emotional distress, and hormone imbalance, and misses a chance to lead with vitality. Yeah. Right. That was one thing I know with my kiddos that I always wanted to do is, like, if my kids ask me on a bike ride, got it. They ask me to throw a football, got it. Basketball, got it. Tennis, got it. Pickleball, got it. Like, I don't want to not be available because I am overweight. My joints hurt. I've got a bad back. And again, for those of you that listen, and I want to review that with you, I had 3 bulging discs and a herniated disc. I still have a herniated disc. And I'm still able to do all those things. I don't play basketball anymore, but I can go shoot baskets only because my disc is this skinny. And so this kind of movement does not go well for sending shockwaves into my sciatic nerve in my left leg. But I'm still able to do like 95% of the things.
Yeah. You've gotten rid of 45 pounds of pressure on that nerve that was pinching before.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that goes into creating the next thing is legacy. Like, I'm not here just to serve my kiddos. I'm here to serve my kiddos' kids. Matter of fact, one of the reasons why I decided to start doing video stuff on social media and podcasts and things like that, there's a guy I listen to by the name of Patrick Bet-David. He said, you know what the advantage of everybody that starts a YouTube channel or does Instagram videos or whatever they're doing these days? Right. He goes, is that your grandkids can watch your videos. They can see who their great-great-granddad was.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, now I feel like I have to start doing this stuff.
And that's an inexpensive way to leave a legacy of some kind.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only way that we grow is if we keep the information from the past and build new information on top of it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, what you know now you're teaching so they can easily get what you know now and build on it. That's huge.
Right. Now we dove into medications a little bit. And I wrote this down. Here is how you know the dad bod is lying to you. And so here's a full list of medications most commonly associated with the issues tied to dad bod. Cardiovascular medication, so blood pressure, cholesterol, heart health. So statins. I'm not going to try to read these. They're like atrovastatin and semo something or other. That's for high cholesterol. Beta blockers, ACE inhibitors, calcium channel blockers, and aspirin. So dad bod equals visceral fat, which equals cardiovascular strain, which equals lifelong meds if not reversed.
Yeah.
Right. Another one, metabolic medications, blood sugar, insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, metformin, GLP-1 receptor, agonicist like Ozempic, Wegovy, those types of things, and then insulin.
Mm-hmm.
So we see these medications coming on board, mental health medications, depression, anxiety, and stress, SSRIs. So that's a lot of people are familiar with these depressants and anxiety medications, sleep aids. Many men don't realize their mood issues are rooted in inflammation, hormone imbalance, poor sleep, and diet, not just stress, something we've already covered.
Yeah. I would even venture to say that poor sleep is probably the catalyst to the rest of those.
Mm-hmm.
Like the sleep is the one thing that you can probably count on a regular basis that we get least consistent. Whether you
Yeah.
have cats or kittens or dogs, you need to pee, new children, you're a light sleeper, you have a cold, you can't breathe right now, you have sleep apnea, because of your weight, you snore. Maybe I'm on a CPAP machine, not because I'm overweight, but because my tongue falls back into my throat and I have obstructive sleep apnea. So now I'm on a CPAP machine right now until I can get something figured out about my tongue and my mouth. So it's like sleep is a big one on my end, and me being exhausted does affect mood, does affect decisions, desire to go to the gym, that discipline battery to make a good choice, the avocado toast versus the hamburger,
Yeah.
right? The little things. My sleep vastly impacts how I make decisions every day if I'm not intentional about being disciplined.
Right.
And it's like being able to bend corners, and like in leadership, can I look ahead for the day and say, where might I struggle today? Well, I didn't get much sleep. So I think 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon, I might be having some cravings and give into those. So how do I put myself in a position not to?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and there's other medications. There's the they're anti-acid, anti-gas, anti-diarrheal.
Mm-hmm.
There's pain medications, NSAIDs, so like ibuprofen, naproxen. So there's all these things that are associated with dad bod. And again, I've already stated this and looked up. There's actually that cycle that I talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Is taking these medications actually cause more symptoms.
Yep.
So then you take medications for those symptoms. Then you feel worse. Then it just creates this whole cycle of not wanting to do things, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so when we're looking at protocols, so like actions that people should take or be thinking about, and you had talked about at the very, very, very beginning, you talked about multi-burn. And then we just briefly brought up like the new NAD plus precursor.
Baseline.
But when we're looking at a protocol that people should be following, what do you, when share a little bit about the multi-burn and actually why and how cool it is, because this is kind of a Herbalife first. And I was getting into conversations with people about the different grades of product, like a GNC brand versus like an Herbalife brand. So the quality is legit. It even comes out as like clinically, scientifically proven. It's not just somebody writing on a piece of paper somewhere that this works. Right. And so tell us a little bit about multi-burn.
Well, when they released the multi-burn, I went a little nerdy on the ingredients inside of it, and like the amount that they put inside to make sure that ingredient of like a chili pepper is effective. So you're just not eating one chili pepper. Imagine eating dozens of chili peppers ground up and condensed into one item. Okay, what it does to your body on a massive level. So I went through, and with the capsaicin and the morocil and the chromium and the 5 different major ingredients in the multi-burn, it quiets that hunger voice, that food whisper that's in your head. It changes the way your body processes glucose, the sugars that impact your midsection, the visceral fats, the subcutaneous fats. It prolongs your energy and your stamina when you're working out, so it adds energy sources to your cells. Just the whole thing, I hate to say it's eerily equivalent to like Ozempic in a capsule, because that's medication, this is nutrition. But
Right.
if you were to eat the correct foods, you could mimic that same reaction in your body. The hunger support, the metabolism change, the glucose change, the cellular energy. This is what this product does in just 3 capsules. Take it in the morning with or without food, or take it at lunch with it. I do mine at lunch because I want it to last throughout the day. Again, I'm a 4:50 in the morning wake upper. I need a little bit of a kick in the afternoon. But then there's only 25 milligrams of caffeine per capsule. You take 3, it's 75. Like the
Right.
average person's hitting 250 to 300 a day,
Yeah.
75 to push you through to get your day done. And it's got the calendar. Like to me, I understand why it's the number one largest launch that the company's ever done, because it's in the first 30 days that we've had our clients and ourselves use it, the results have been pretty insane.
Yeah.
Pretty insane.
It's been really neat on our end. We're running a 30-day challenge, not for, not like a weight loss challenge where people win money and stuff like that. It's just a 30-day accountability challenge
Yep.
for everybody that wants to make changes. And it's been amazing just to hear people's stories already. Like after the first 7 days, it's been just phenomenal. It's really cool. So I've been doing it myself, obviously, Evie and I have. And so to see the results already has been great. Me getting back on my program after a summer of traveling. And hi, my name's Anthony Blanco. I like beer. I actually have allergic reactions to beer. My face swells up, my nose gets stuffed up, and I get bloated. And yes, my name is Anthony. I still drink beer sometimes,
Uh-huh.
right? Because I like it, right? But over the course of the last 2 months, did I get a little inflamed? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is that okay and par for the course for my life? Absolutely, because I never actually stopped doing my fitness. I never stopped doing my normal nutrition. I just had a little more of other things that,
Yeah.
maybe I shouldn't do as much of, and when I'm vacationing or whatever it may be. But then we have the NAD that came out, and then I nerded out on that
Yeah.
and did all the research. And so, what's your thoughts on the NAD plus precursors?
I mean, I want to hear your nerd out stuff, because I first heard about NAD plus and the precursors from Tony Robbins, who's one of my
Yep.
favorites. And going in, that's right, the balloon analogy we said at the beginning of this call was just that, like the example of putting the rejuvenated, restorative stuff back in your mitochondria, like refilling what your body needs at a cellular level, which can prolong your lifespan.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that. I know you said you did a call the other day on NAD plus baseline. I want to hear more
Yes.
about that.
It was, so I'll tell you my experience. So I just hired a functional medicine doctor. And I've been working only with functional medicine people, whether it's been nurse practitioners or anything like that. So that's the style of doctors that I like, different than mainly primary care or MDs. They have a different approach. Doesn't make either one right or wrong. It's just a different approach to health. And so when I was touching base with him, I was going through a supplement review on the things that I was taking, and I brought up the NAD, and I brought up all the ingredients in the the NAD plus precursor, and he's like, it has all that stuff in it. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, dude, that's much more than a precursor. He's like, that's a precursor plus like 7 things.
Yeah.
He's like, it's a precursor plus a mitochondria health and this and this and this and this. And I'm like, yay! Like I was so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, that is all really good stuff. And so when I was the overall benefits of it, some of the benefits you start receiving within a week, I would say more of the longevity impact benefits you see after like week 6 to 8. Right. And so that's the bigger, longer impacts. But immediately in the first week, and I shared this with Evie because I've been doing it since last Friday, is after 2 days, my sleep has been ridiculous. I mean, it's been so good. And that's actually one of the things that are supposed to happen within the first week. And I get good sleep anyway.
Yeah.
But the functional medicine doc was asking me, and by the way, for people that are looking for health protocols to like pay attention to, your HRV is one of those things. It's like how you sleep and how it works and breathing and these different things. So he said, what's your HRV? And I showed him my last 7 days, 14 days, 30 days. And you could see a clear difference in my HRV in the last 7 days versus the time before. Not that it was terrible. It was more, I would say it was more unstable, but it was still decent, to where the last 7 days it's been completely on par. And that's just like in the first week, just like it's like an oak tree.
Yeah.
Where the seed was planted, and then you got this sapling that pops up above the dirt, and that's sleep. And then we have the whole tree getting ready to come up out of the ground of the cellular regeneration. So I'm freaking excited.
Hear about the first few days results, placebo or not, I don't really know. What I did notice is walking upstairs and doing my things. I all of a sudden one day I noticed that I didn't notice my knees. And I'm again, baseball, football, cheerleading, gymnastics, motocross, like I've abused my joints, but I just didn't notice my knees. And I was like, usually they're pretty achy, and I kind of hold them and wince when I walk upstairs or make a noise like an old man when I squat down. So I began to notice where else, like elbows, my lower back, which has notorious for lower back issues, hip misalignments and stuff. Lower back can still get a little achy at times, but the other joints, the knees, the elbows, the shoulders, where I got shoulder surgery, like those things, I began not to notice as much. And I'm
Yeah.
hoping that it's just the beginning of what my body needed to repair first. Like it needed to replenish and restore the mitochondria in those areas first. And
Yeah.
we'll see. We're going to keep going. But aside from like the medication and or uh, supplementation, which are all great, we need the sups on sups on sups. I think a lot of it comes to the shifts you make mentally, the shifts you make in your circle and stuff, right?
Absolutely.
And looking into that before I have someone uh, entertain the thoughts of drastically changing their nutrition program and different things, um, like I boiled it down to a few different steps. And like the first part is prioritizing yourself as a man in your family. I think Enterprise Rent a Car, their number one motto was take care of your employees first, and they'll take care of your customers. So in
Hmm.
this scenario, if you are not at your peak, how can you provide and serve and be there for your kids and your wife?
Yeah.
We got to get you to take care of yourself so you can take care of them. So when you prioritize yours, you decide that, okay, I'm intentionally going to focus on my overall health. What's the Latin term for decide? It's deca something, which means to
Mm.
cut off. So when you
Yep.
decide something, that means you're cutting off all other options. So if something is not empowering to the goal of taking care of yourself, you cut it off.
That's right.
Yet the second part is enroll your inner circle, because none of it lasts without support. You tell your wife, you tell your kids, you tell your boss. Those of you watching, if you have bosses and wives and kids or significant others and kids, enroll them. I'm going to take a charge for myself, which means I need to make some shifts. It won't in fact impact my work. Matter of fact, it might make my work better. It won't impact home life. Matter of fact, it might make me being more enjoyable at home. You got to enroll your inner circle. The third part is set minor timeline goals with a long range execution. So I've done this for myself the last few years, and it's like, okay, I'm going to go consistent on my program until uh, what's next month? Until I do that event in Oklahoma. So I'm going to crush my program until September 20th. Go to enjoy that weekend because I'll be in Oklahoma with some company team, and they're going to treat me, and I'm going to eat what they treat me. I like food. I'm my food,
Right.
right? Okay, that's done. The long-term execution is what's the next timeline, minor timeline I'm going for? That's September. Okay, I'm going to go ham on it until our October event that we're going to in Dallas, or maybe you're
Yeah.
going to Atlanta. My next October
Mhm.
event, I'm going ham on it until my October event. I'm going to enjoy the weekend. Long-term expectancy. My next one is Thanksgiving. I'm going ham on it until Thanksgiving. And so I do have zones, but New Year's, your birthday, Christmas, Easter, 10 days a year doesn't make us gain 2 to 3 pounds a year over 20 years. It's
Right.
the other 345 or 355 days of
Right.
not being consistent, right? So
Right.
set those minor timeline goals. The third part, which probably might be the toughest for most, is get a coach.
Yeah.
If you knew what to do, you'd do it.
Yeah. You'd
That's
already done
good.
it.
You already done it. If you knew what was going on, you do it. But they get a coach, see a doctor, make the lifestyle shifts, and last case scenario, then you medicate. The doctor will
Yeah.
tell you what needs to be addressed now. Look and see if that can be done with food, with nutrition, with stretching, with
Right.
lifestyle. And then if you are diabetic and you medically need stuff to help with your insulin, get your insulin, right? And the
Right.
fifth part, the final one, which is probably the most important, is celebrate your consistency. For me, it's been learning how to connect those dopamine releases to good decisions. Right now,
Yeah.
dopamine, we scroll on our phones and that releases a dopamine. Uh,
Yeah.
we eat chocolate, dopamine release. Text
Yeah.
gossip, dopamine.
Yep.
Well, I want to release dopamine when I slice an avocado and put it in a bowl. I got back from Greece and I have a Greek salad probably 4 days a week, and it's
Yeah.
avocados, tomatoes, cucumbers, drizzled with balsamic vinaigrette,
Yeah. So good.
probably 4 nights a week. And I'm like, I haven't had a piece of lettuce in months since April, but I'm having a salad almost every night with a
Yeah.
protein source, right? That's a
Right.
dopamine release. Like I find I get the same release of like eating chocolate, but now I've created
Yeah.
that with avocados.
Yeah.
How can we create that with I went to the gym for another day in a row? Dopamine. And now you can chemically trick your brain to a healthy lifestyle, but you've got to do it on purpose first.
Right.
And what we've done, most of us, most people that are going to be in this range of dad bod, have created the dopamine release that have created the dad bod.
Mm-hmm.
And then the decisions of when it gets stressful, they quit. Well, now they've made the connection of I was right to be stressed because I quit. Well, then the next time you're a little anxious, you quit, and it proves beliefs again. Well, I was right, I quit. So therefore, this is when I feel this way, I need to stop. Versus when you feel that way, you probably should keep going
Right.
in a row, right? So that's my 5 tips. Once you've got those down, then you go forth and you add your subs and you add your extra things.
Yeah.
That's when your blood work is going to be on point. Your lifestyle's good. You're eating your avocados and your healthy meats, your lean proteins, and then you see, oh, okay, you need some mitochondria support, which we all do actually. The baseline that they have is a must for everyone. It's not a if you.
Right.
We all will need it at some point. You might as well get it in your body now.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Not to deter
Absolutely.
that. I got into that and I was like, there's some steps that I took this last few years. I want to share. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right. So wrapping it up. If you're listening, guys, and whoever's or gals, whoever's listening to this, like if you're tired of being tired, and you're tired of feeling sick, and you're tired of feeling not motivated, and you're exhausted, you're sleepy, you're tired, you'd rather take a nap. Like right now might be that time to like reach out, and it's okay. Like Jesse and I are super cool guys. At least I think we are in our own minds, in our own world. So your spouse deserves it. Your family deserves it. Your kids deserve the best you. And we're here to help without judgment, to guide people to a desired result, to help them live a more empowered life that they want and deserve. And so, please feel free to reach out on this. Look Jesse up on the socials. His contact information will be on here. My contact, if you're watching this, you already know that my contact and my socials. But we'll go from there. So with that being said, Jesse, I enjoyed the conversation. Thanks for jamming with me a bit on this. It's going to be over the next couple episodes, 10 or so episodes. I'm going to love talking about this health and nutrition and all kinds of different things. And thank you for being the first one of that next set of podcasts that dives down into stuff and with Dad Bod. So I do appreciate it, man.
Of course. Thanks for having me. It was a blast. Happy to do it anytime. It's nice just to shoot the breeze without a bunch of pressure. Talk about the things we know or don't know or need to know. We're still growing.
That's right. All right, man. Bye.
See you.